Well, good morning, challengers. I know a lot of you are probably having to work or you're getting into the groove of your New Year weekend. So I just want to do a short video so you could get an idea of what to expect with the challenge, how to navigate some of the stuff. And then if you have any questions, you guys can feel free to ask away and we'll get started. So, hi, I'm Casey. I'm the one who's going to be taking you guys through your challenge for the month of January. So I wanted to kind of start out by basically giving you a couple expectations with this program. So when we are doing this 30 day to 5K challenge, there's a lot of programs out there that guarantee you can go from being on the couch to running a 5K and being great, having this fantastic pace and mile time, all that fun stuff. But really, like, I don't like plans like that because they push you to the point that you could possibly injure yourself or you're not having fun. And that's what this is all about. It's about you getting out, having a good time, doing it injury free. And at the end of the 30 days, as long as you keep following the plan, you're going to see some significant changes in the way that you approach your fitness and your health. You're going to start feeling a little bit more empowered, and you may not be able to run. You may be able to run the whole 5K, but it may be slow, and that's okay. This is a very, very beginner plan. So we're starting from nothing and we can build up onto that. If at any time this plan is way too easy for you and you want more, let me know because I can give you some personal progressions on that. So you're going to be either improving your speed or your distance. I know some of you have some bigger goals. I know there's one that's doing a half marathon they're already scheduled for. So just keep me in the loop and things and we can tweak this back and forth. But I don't want you to think that if you're starting out and it's really hard, or you're slower than you want to be, or you can't get the whole 5K right out the gate, that's fine. You're going to be able to get there by the end of January. You're going to be able to do that again comfortably, feeling like you're having a good time, and you're going to do that injury free. So with that, I did want to share my screen here and show you guys how to navigate Training Peaks a little bit. So give me 1 second to get that set up. Perfect. So many of you are already familiar with the membership group. So yeah, just hop on here. This is a great way for you guys to get to know one another, keep each other accountable for the training plans. I'm going to definitely be checking in on you guys. You won't know when it will happen, but it's going to happen. But ask questions and have a good time. Running and cycling and all these endurance sports, the thing that makes it so magical is you have this amazing community of people around you. And that doesn't really exist in a lot of other sports. So definitely take advantage of that. We're going to go over here to Training Peaks. And you all should already be set up here with your program. Mine's going to look a little weird. So let me... I'm going to pick on Iris here. So what you're going to see when you log in, you're going to see the workouts that you have set up for the day. You can leave comments in here. This is going to be your feeling during that workout or your perceived exertion. The box will tick green whenever you complete it. Don't worry if things like this happen. Sometimes things get glitchy depending on what kind of things you're interfacing, what kind of apps you're using. So for instance, like the measurement and photos, you would click on that workout and you'll find a description, estimated time to complete it. For this one here, you click on the form. It should open right up for you. Go through and then fill that out. When you are done, or if you have any questions, make sure you can put those here in the post activity comments. When you do that, I get a notification and I can see comments that you made. As you can see here, Iris sent me a comment here, and I was able to reply back, and we had a little conversation going. So that's how you start to navigate through here. They're not going to be running every single day. Again, this is a beginner program. So like you have, again, overview, link. What we're trying to do is create a comprehensive approach to helping you set sustainable fitness goals. So me just giving you a workout plan where you go and you run 3 times a week, you may not complete it, you're not going to like it, and it's really not going to stick. The big bulk, I would say 80 to 85%, if not even 90% of everything you have to do from life to athletic goals, it's going to be based around your mindset. So we want to hit that part really hard in this program. Get your mindset in the right place, start forming better habits, and then your body is going to follow. So when you're going over here, let's say this is one of the workouts coming up. Again, just want to give you guys that overview. You'll have workout details. So everything's going to have a warm up and a cool down. Do not skip on your warm ups or your cool downs, please. They are so important. So make sure that you're doing that. If you have any questions at any time, let me know. If something isn't clear, let me know. But you'll have your workout in here that'll tell you like how hard you should go, how easy you should go. Again, we're trying to build up over time. So you're not going to be going out and running as far as you can every day. We're going to build up different intensity levels, and you're going to be able to put that all together later. And I promise you, if you stick with the plan, you trust the process, by the time we get to that 30 days, you're going to surprise yourself when you go for an all-out run again. If you do everything you're supposed to do, it's going to be better. So trust the process. So again, make sure you're reading the notes, taking time to do deep stretching, taking time to breathe, and really keep an awareness when you're doing your workouts of how your body's feeling. Now, some of you may have heart rate monitors. If you do, if you have a Fitbit or any kind of like an Apple Watch, please, you can sync that up to Training Peaks. This is a really popular platform. So it integrates, I think it's over 300 different devices. So if you have something like that, it's so helpful to be able to sync that up, because I get some really good information, and then I can tweak things and challenge you to push maybe a little bit more, or maybe you need to bring it back a little bit. And again, when you do all of these, when you're done, if you have any kind of comments, any notes for yourself or that you want me to see, anything you put in post-activity comments, I will be able to see. So that is pretty much Training Peaks. I did want to touch base on this rate of perceived exertion. So we have a couple different ways that we track the intensity. Heart rate is going to be one of those ways, and the other way is rate of perceived exertion, or RPE. So it's basically how you are feeling through this. It's a 1 to 10 scale. I love that Training Peaks makes it pretty easy by setting it up with whatever face you feel like you're making. Very easy is pretty much like you're just walking to your mailbox. You're not doing anything out of the ordinary, like just everyday movements. It didn't phase you at all. All out, that's going to be your 10, and that is like you are dying. As you can see, you feel really like you're giving 100%, and like you left nothing on the table there. And then this normal, this kind of moderate, that's going to be that like level 5. When you're feeling that kind of exertion, you're going to still be able to hold a conversation, but your breathing's going to start being a little bit more labored. You're going to start feeling a little bit more warm. So those are going to be your reference points. If you don't have a heart rate monitor or any kind of fitness tracker, you can use the rate of perceived exertion. Make sure you're doing that anytime you're putting those notes in for your workouts. It's kind of hard to see from my coach platform, but you do have the skill that's going to be in Training Peaks that you can say how you felt. And as you'll notice, of course, I closed it out. Let me open it up here. Yeah. But as you probably noticed in Training Peaks, there's going to see a rate of perceived exertion after all of the little workout details. So warm up, 5 minutes at 3 to 5 RPE, rate of perceived exertion. So that's going to be, you feel good, you can still talk, you're starting to feel that warmth, you're starting to have your heart rate go up, you're starting to breathe a little heavier, but it's not, not the end of the world. That's kind of where we're more comfortable working out. Versus you see down here at hard, 7 to 8, when you look over here, like this is about how you're wanting to feel. Like it should be unpleasant, but it should not hurt. And that's going to bring me into another thing I wanted to talk with you guys about. When you are running, working out, doing anything, there's good pain and then there's bad pain. Good pain, think of it more of just you're uncomfortable. You may feel like you can't breathe very great. If you have asthma, things like that, we may look at this a little bit different, but sometimes you're like, oh my gosh, I'm having an asthma attack, and you don't have asthma. That's just pushing yourself. If you feel like, now something that can happen, like your esophagus and your windpipe can all start to spasm. And when something like that happens, it can feel like an asthma attack for people who don't have asthma. Just bring it back a little bit and let yourself recover. It's not worth hating yourself while you're doing this. You guys are just starting out. This should be fun. This should give you something to look forward to. And you should be really proud of your effort. And even more than your rate of perceived exertion or what your heart rate monitor says, you should feel like, yeah, I really kicked ass on this workout. I really kicked ass on this run. When it said to run hard at a 7 to 8, I ran at a 7 to 8 and I felt uncomfortable and it felt glorious. So remember again, that's going to be good pain. You're going to feel maybe some cramping. That's not the end of the world. Cramps usually aren't something to be really concerned with. You guys aren't going to be running out of volume where we need to consider what shin splints and things like that happen. Now on the other side of it, there is bad pain. So anything that is beyond uncomfortable, if you feel any sharp shooting pain, anything that's more than a muscle ache, stop. We could be looking at lots of different things. I mean, it could be you're running weird and your hips kicking your foot out the wrong way, and that could lead to a knee injury if you're going to start building more and more running volume, more miles, more speed. So anytime you feel something that is sharp, if you're like, that doesn't feel right, anything that shoots around pain, or is like very specific and radiating that isn't like a muscle like cramp or that muscle ache when you start getting tired, those are bad kinds of pain. You want to stop and you want to let me know if you feel anything like that, and then we'll dig into what that cause was. If you're just, man, I felt tired, I felt sluggish, my feet felt heavy, it just sucked, that's okay. That's normal, that's to be expected, and you shouldn't let something like that stop you. What else was I going to cover? Let's see. I have my nice little notes here. I think we're moving through it pretty good. So, yeah, I do want to just cover 2 more quick things with you. Let me unshare my screen so you're not just looking at this. There we go. So, 2 more things I wanted to share with you. But first, I want to talk about your gear selection. Now, thankfully, you're running, so you're not going to be like me with all these bikes along the back. So your gear is going to be pretty simple. You're also not going out and running for an hour, 2 hours at a time. So you don't really need to worry at this point about making sure you have food to bring with you, as if you're running for half an hour to under an hour, your body's not going to have time to process all of that, but you're not going to get the benefit of fueling while you're doing your run. So don't worry about that kind of stuff. You can definitely get through these workouts without any water. I personally, for workouts under an hour, I usually don't drink any water. I might keep, especially for something that's going to be a stronger effort, I might keep some water just to spray my mouth because my mouth will get dry. So, you can bring some water, but you don't need to have a big Camelback or anything. Just make sure that you are staying hydrated and that you're eating well outside of running, and that's going to be just fine. I do get a lot of questions about, well, how soon should I eat before I run? If you eat like 5 minutes beforehand, you're probably going to blow chunks if you're putting a really hard effort. So don't eat right, don't eat right before you go and run. A good rule of thumb is no sooner than an hour before you run. Or no, usually about an hour and a half to 3 hours before you run on the far end of it should give you enough fuel to be able to get through that run without having nutritional concerns. Other things as far as gear is concerned, please don't go run in Converse flat shoes. This is one of those things, if you really want to get into running, you want to make sure that you're getting some good shoes. It is definitely cheaper to spend $100 on a pair of decent running shoes than it is to, pay for physical therapy or sit out because you've sprained something. So if you don't have a pair of running shoes, it doesn't have to be high end or anything, but make sure that you do have something that is a little bit more of a sport shoe, that you're not, and I know you're probably going to be thinking this is silly of me to say, but don't go running cowboy boots. You don't go out running, just because military runs in tactical boots doesn't mean you should be running in tactical boots. This isn't boot camp. Yes, I work with a lot of military and first responders, and so I have to bring that up quite a bit. And don't run in a shoe that like those Skechers shape ups or anything like that. You do want a cross trainer shoe, or if you can afford it, a running shoe. You could get some really good ones for like $30. Even if you go to Walmart or go online to like academy.com, I love them. You can get some good shoes there. There's a lot more that goes into shoe selection over time. We won't go into that, but that's something that we can cover supplementally, or I can send you some additional information if you're interested in shoe fits and stride lengths and drops and rises and inserts and all that fun techie stuff. Other things, you guys are spread out all over the place. So here in Colorado, there is a ton of snow on the ground. So you want to make sure that you are dressing for the weather. That can include, for those of you in cold, icy, snowy climates, you want to probably make sure that you're being aware of any kind of track you're running if you're going outside. Be aware of those conditions. There's going to be ice that can cause you to slip and fall and hurt yourself. There are ice cleats that you can get. Yak Track makes some specifically for running. So they have almost like little chains in the back and then like this flat spiky cleat in the front. You just slip those right over your shoes. Those are going to be really important if you're running in one of those climates. If you're not, then you don't have to worry about it. But other things, like if you're going out to do some trail running and you get rocks and stuff, a lot of dirt in your shoes, you can look at gaiters. They make running gaiters. You can get them on Amazon for anywhere between $20 to $30 for an entry-level pair, and then you can obviously spend a lot more than that if you get more into it. Jury's still out on whether compression stuff is good or bad for the general public, so we're not going to cover necessarily compression things. What I will say, because I am a large-thighed, big-bootied woman, I find it very nice to, even if it's under running shorts, to have some kind of tight, something that kind of holds everything in place. Otherwise, my thighs start to itch really bad, and that distracts me. Again, I'm a cyclist more than a runner because I hate that itchy stuff. But that's something you may want to consider if you feel that kind of uncomfort when you're running, you're starting to get that itching. It doesn't have to be like a compression, so don't go out and spend $100 on some Saucony running tights. If you have them, great, but you don't need to spend the money. Just something to consider. Also, when you're running, a lot of your body temperature, especially in these cold climates, it's going to come from your hands and it's going to go to your core and your legs because your hands aren't really doing a lot of work. So in those situations, I do suggest getting a mitten. Mittens are nice because as you get sweaty, your fingers aren't going to invert and mess up your gloves, and your hands stay a lot warmer with mittens. So for cold climates, you may want to consider that. We do lose a lot of heat through our head, so you may want to consider a beanie. And then something else just to keep in mind, that you can layer, and you can always take layers off and put layers on, but you are running, so you may not want to finagle around with a lot of stuff. You're probably going to want to be colder at the beginning of your run because you're going to warm up. So keep that in mind with any kind of gear and clothing selections. If you're bundled up and you're comfortable and you're like, oh yeah, this is fantastic, before you start to run, once you get going in it, you're going to be pretty miserable. So yourself on that. And again, these are all things we can talk about more in detail, but something to keep in mind is you'll only make that mistake a few times. So hopefully we can avoid it and keep this as fun as possible. Let me think if there's any other gear stuff we really need. You don't need like a cadence or pace sensor. You don't need to go out and buy a heart rate monitor or anything like that. If you have it, again, great. If you want to get one, let me know. I'll send you a link to a really cheap one. It's like, I think it's $25, $30 on Amazon, so you don't have to spend $200 on one through Polar or one of these other places. I think that's pretty good for a general gear overview. You guys can ask some questions on that. And then basically I want to just close out by reminding you that this is a process. So we're going to do one thing at a time. And I know we get really excited with something new and everybody wants to do everything all at once. And we're not going to do that because that's going to overwhelm you and you're going to burn out really quick. And again, we are looking to form a habit that's sustainable over time. So again, try not to go and do a whole bunch of other stuff with this. A lot of people want to start out the new year and say, yeah, diet and exercise and all this stuff. Well, you guys are already doing the exercise stuff. Leave the diet alone. And there's a study, and I've done some, published some blog posts and done some research with this, but you actually have more weight loss, more fitness gains by exercise alone than by dieting alone. So, and this is coming from me. I'm a nutritionist. That is my specialty. And I'm telling you that the exercise and the habits that you're forming are going to be way more important than you guys trying to do any kind of diet. I'll have a whole other conversation about why diets don't work and how diets are making everybody fat. And you'll hear all of my theories that are also based in science. So I guess it makes them facts. But just make sure you're doing one thing at a time. Don't go through and have, a list of 50 to-dos this year. Let's just look at the next 30 to 90 days. Let's look at the, 1 to 3 steps to get through there. And just make those micro focuses, because I promise you, if you trust the process and you do these one little thing at a time, they start to build on each other. You're building up this positive mental momentum and you're going to do some great things. So don't overwhelm yourself. Make sure that you're going on to your training peaks and that you're logging your workouts. I'll start, reaching out to those of you who aren't doing it, making sure that there's not a tech issue that you're having, but you signed up for the challenge because you wanted to be held accountable to something, and we're going to start rolling that out in the next couple days. Again, if you have questions, feel free to text me, email me, hit me up on Facebook, comment on the group, and I'm monitoring all of that. So We want to make sure that you guys are set up to be your best self and to get the best you can out of this program. And I'm so excited to have you join us. So we will see you a little bit later. Bye, guys.